But on TV they don't talk about it. What do you think affair means? It means fucking. What do you think any of those words mean when a guy says bullshit? He doesn't talk about a shit or a bull. Bullshit means I can't accept what you say. I'm gonna have bullshit. It means they can't accept what you're saying. There are no bad words. Maybe, I don't know you, but if you bake a pie and drop it, she might say, oh, fiddly-dee. A guy might say, shit. That means I'm sorry I dropped the pie. It has nothing to do with shit. So you must understand there are no bad words. There are no good words. Your nation says this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. I want to tell you what a creative person is. Now this becomes a little more difficult to understand. So during the question period, you question the hell out of me until you do understand. They tell you that man, this is the words they use, can think and reason. I don't believe that. I don't believe man can think of anything. That includes me. Of course, whatever I say about man includes me. And if man can't think, where did the camera come from? I spoke at Princeton University, and I entitled a subject, Man Can't Think or Reason. Made everybody mad. They all came to tear me to pieces. So I said, give me one example of man thinking. The members of the optics department or the science department. They said, there's thousands of examples of man thinking. I said, I can't do anything of that. Give me one example. He said, well, there was a time when there was no camera, and somebody had to think of a camera. If you go into a barn during the daytime, 100 years ago, 300 years ago, if there was a knothole, meaning knocked out, so daylight comes in, the cows out front.
You have a board if you want to draw.
That's right. The cows out front would be seen on the wall walking upside down in the barn. And 1,000 years ago in the Holy Land, people appeared in the building with a little light hole in it on the wall upside down. And they charged 2 pieces of silver to see the upside down world. That's where the pinhole camera came from. Nobody sat down and invented a pinhole camera. When you climb a hill, if you step on the incline, you slip. If you step on the slight flat, you get up the hill. So whenever you climb a hill, you look for the flat region to get up the hill. After you live there 10 years, it looks like steps. But nobody comes up and says they're going to make steps. Or I have to invent language to communicate. That's what I tell you in school. That's a stupid thing. How can you invent language? Here's where language came from. Somebody banged his elbow and he banged, oh, he ate something good, and that's where language came from. The sounds we made in relation to experience. If you saw a strange animal coming, you said, oh, boo, oh, boo, oh, boo. The other guy said, oh, boo, boo. You say, nobody says, I gotta sit down and work out a whole vocabulary. Not possible. Nor can man think of a new thing. Now, somebody got mad at me and they said, all right, somebody had to invent the movie camera. There's no movie camera out there in nature to suggest to a man. I'm going to try to tell you where it came from. The Chinese, 1,500 years ago, cut a doll out of paper with her arms up like this. It was called a dancing girl. And they made that girl about this size, and they put it on a table and put a candle in front of it, and oiled bamboo paper behind her. As the candle flickered, the girl danced. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. A candle flickers while it burns, moves up and back. That cast a shadow of the girl that was stiff, made out of cardboard, and when she was dancing. That was the beginning of motion pictures. Now, nobody starts out with a camera. It's so little by little, over so many years, you think, my God, the man that thought of that must have a fantastic mind. No, they don't. It happens so slowly, so slightly, that you don't even know what it was that generated that. So I'm going to tell you, the Chinese used to take a pad of paper and stitch it together, and they'd write the Chinese characters. But they made a mark in the corner of the pad, page 1, page 2, in Chinese. If you happen to grab the pad and flip it fast, that mark jumped all over the place. If you don't understand me, You make marks in the corner of paper, any kind of one, and flip it back. That mark will jump around. A Chinese artist drew a bird with wings in different positions, like that, in the corner of the pen, and went, and the bird looked like it was flying. The waves looked like they were moving. The man looked like they were walking. Another Chinese person put that in a wheel, all the pictures, and turned it. And Edison bought that from a Frenchman. They think he invented movie camera. And Edison put that wheel in this way. And years ago, I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember that, you put a nickel in the slot, you turned the thing, and you looked in the scope, and you saw a man walking. They were photographs that moved around. So, if you really study the history of invention, you'll see that nobody really ever invented anything. Little by little, it's developed. Is there anybody that doesn't understand about the movie camera? That goes through all invention. Nobody ever sat down and invented anything. But they tell you in school, the invention of the wheel was the beginning of the technical age. Not true. A log fell over another tree. When you pulled the upper one, the bottom one rolled. You understand? If there was a stone in the way, it wouldn't roll. So they shaved off the bark. This took years. In the middle, they shaved off the bark, and the outside was a lot of diameter. That's where the wheel came. But nobody says, I gotta make a wheel so I can move things. No, they took logs, put heavy stones on, and whipped people, and they pulled heavy stones over these logs. But you had to take the logs off and put them in the beginning again to get it to work. It took many, many years, 50 to 60 years, before they put a wheel on a wagon. But the wheel was never invented. It was one tree falls over another. You understand? Then they tell you in school Galileo invented the telescope. There's such a thing as natural glass, and if it has a slight curve in it, accidentally, and you pick it up, the sand gets larger underneath it. So Galileo took two of those, put them in a tube, and had a telescope. But nobody sat down and said, "I'll make a telescope." You can't do that. The brain doesn't work that way. It works serially, a little bit by bit. They say there was a forest fire, and a lot of pigs were burned to death. They taste better since the fire, so men made fire and cooked. But they were burned accidentally by lightning or some other thing that started the forest. Nobody ever sits down and invents a microphone or a radio. It's so serious, so slow, little by little. Now you think somebody invented, if a man came from Mars and said, what are those things in front of your eyes? He said, well, I can't see too well, so this helps me see better. Well, what are those things hanging from your wife's ears? Well, he said, it's decoration. Yes, what's it for? We have all kinds of junk. We wear beads, we wear all kinds of things. Right? Today the kids put silver through their nose and ears because other kids, they want to identify with them. It's a nothing thing. What's a nothing thing is something that does nothing. Your eyeglasses are something. Your wristwatch, if you got a watch, you can't keep a record of time. If you have an appointment at 4 o'clock, the brain is not as accurate as this if you take care of your battery. If you take care of your battery, you have an appointment at 4 o'clock, you know how much time you've got. It's better than man's ability the whole time. So we have to learn a new language that's not subject to interpretation. In other words, all the language of the world today is subject to personal interpretation. Now, is it possible to make a language where people understand exactly what you mean? Mathematics. When you tell a country you owe us $6 billion, they'll say $2 billion. They know